More people on this side, we're all leaning this way. So a couple of announcements that you all know, but I'll keep doing it anyway. Practice period begins October 8th with the all-day sitting. Please, if you're not on the email list and you want to be, oh, right there? Great, okay. Practice period is a ritual. It's an annual ritual. And it's a ritual that's been going on across time and space in Buddhist communities. Probably call it something different in other traditions. It comes from the time of Buddha, and that the monks used to go out and wander and teach, and then in the rainy season they would come back together. And that was when they would study and do practice period and deepen their practice together so that they could then go out again. In that case, they were going out on their own. And here we have more, we come and we go, and we're here once a week or twice a week. But it is, there is a kind of refuge, a ritual of refuge in practice period. Of just in this period of time, I, along with others in the Sangha, vow, whatever way that word means to you, vow to sit down on the earth, vow to listen to my own heart, vow to stay with my breath and my deepest intention, and whatever the intentions are that I've articulated in my commitment form, both for my own benefit and for the benefit of the world. And I want to recognize also, because we're going to do some of that today, we'll see what kind of time we have, it's the ritual of the changing season. It's the equinox. There are rituals to acknowledge the changing of the light. We're headed into the dark, which is rich and wonderful and unknown, and we know there's uncertainty in the world. I'm just thinking, so maybe there was always the ritual of people coming together, especially in the dark around the fire and the warmth and gathering together, which is really what a practice period is. So please, if you haven't sent in your application, it's fine if you don't, if it really doesn't work, but if it can, and you can be here no matter what. I mean, sorry, you're not in the practice period. No. But it's a beautiful ritual. So I'm bringing up ritual because you all were practicing. We were all practicing together with Thich Nhat Hanh's pieces every step. And during that time, I was also on a pilgrimage, a civil rights pilgrimage in Alabama, and then later in some in Georgia and Florida. A pilgrimage is a kind of ritual, a ritual awareness of being on a journey, and that it's deep and it's sacred, which is really what life is all the time. But again, when we name it and commit to it, something happens. What happened to me on the pilgrimage was many things, but I got really tenderized and brokenhearted. It was difficult. It was wonderful, and it was difficult. So in this 2-week period, before we go into practice period, I had on my desk the little book of Zen Healing, Japanese Rituals for Beauty, Harmony, and Love by Paula Arai. And when I opened it, or remembered to open it and look, she went on it. This came out of a pilgrimage that she went on after her mother died. So again, out of difficulty, out of loss, out of facing towards that which isn't easy to turn towards, something really beautiful came, and she's offering us rituals. And I thought, as we turn to the season of darkness, as we prepare for the practice period, as I know in my own heart and body rituals sound beautiful and healing to me, and I hope they do to you too. That we'll spend the next two weeks turning with Paula Arai. So I wanted to read you a little bit from her. She's an amazing woman. As I think I said last week, she's written some really beautiful books, and a lot of her focus has been on women and lay women. She's a Zen practitioner, but her emphasis is lay. So it's not monastic, although in the book she talks a lot about going into monasteries and practicing with nuns and the importance of that practice for her. But I thought it'd start with chapter 1, offering. We can all ask this. What can I offer my loved ones, myself, my community, and my environment? What can I offer my loved ones, myself, my community, and my environment? Then she says, I decided I was going to read this whole part because she's going to talk about her mother, who was Japanese. I think her mother was Japanese, her father was American, and when she started looking, it's kind of like the pilgrimage I went on, and maybe you've been on, is when you start looking at what you just thought you knew, it starts opening and revealing itself. So that's why I wanted to tell you about her mother and their relationship. She said, the seed for this book was planted on the day my mother died, December 18th, 1996. So it's been birthing for quite a while. A few springs before, we were living together in Japan. Over the more than 3 decades since she immigrated to the U.S., she had only returned to her natal land for a few short visits. Settling in for 6 months while I was there doing research, we established a rhythm of life punctuated by making and eating the foods she had been raised on. She exuded pure delight while thinly slicing Japanese cucumbers, smaller and less watery than the ones in Detroit where she raised me. I came to realize that not having Japanese cucumbers to make a basic recipe was just one of myriad of losses she had experienced in choosing to marry a Euro-American and live in a foreign country. Braising Japanese eggplants in a simple miso sauce, she was finally able to offer me the flavor of her mother's home cooking. Cooking the little eggplants was an embodied experience of connecting generations from her mother to her daughter. My mother was in her early 30s in 1957 when she moved to her husband's hometown of Detroit with one baby in her arms and another shortly on the way. Isn't that amazing what human beings do? Studying English grammar and vocabulary was not as important as ironing her children's diapers, so people at church would not think her mothering was dirty and stinky. She grew up with English. I grew up with English, so we lacked a basic meaning-making tool, a shared language. It cast a shadow between us. Maybe some of you are imagining your own mothers or parents and shadows. Maybe only in adulthood you started having some insight into, oh, I thought that was just my mother, but she was many, many things and came from many places that arrived as what I thought was my mother. Anyway, she goes on. Maybe I won't read this whole thing. On the day my mother passed away, a maelstrom of emotions, anger at the circumstances surrounding her death, fear about what to do, insecurity about being a new mother without my own mother, regret that I had not done more for her, plunged me into a vortex of suffering. On the verge of shattering, I lit a candle and offered a single stick of incense. The healing power of that humble ritual flowed through me. Utterly surprised that a simple act could distill the morass of fraught and disorienting emotions into a moment of healing peace, I realized there must be much more to learn about this phenomena. So then she goes on to say, rituals, we do rituals all the time, but most of them are static and not very alive. It's like, hello, how are you? Or she talks about the ritual of if you work in a box store, you put on a certain unit, or UPS, you put on the ritual of putting on your uniform, or the, I don't know, I can't remember. Saying thank you. Birthdays, anniversaries, they're all rituals. Some alive, weddings, funerals, some alive, not so alive. And some that are more essential create meaning and connection and community. And they arise out of community and they create more community. I was thinking, we do these Zen services, and for people who don't know Zen or have done more Theravada or Vipassana, it's like, what's all this bowing and what's all this stuff? But it's really just a ritual it's really to give us something to do together in the same way the practice period is, and to create meaning in our lives, which is we're doing something together and we're aligning our bodies and our hearts and our minds. And then it's not this thing that can seem foreign or imposed. It's just like, oh, this is a dance form we're all in. I wanted to tell you about a ritual that happened this weekend. For me is my son has started this ritual that they call Fruit Fest, and they come up every weekend, a bunch of them, to juice the apples. And it's become this ritual that friends want to come to, because it's when we eat together and we cook together, and it's really joyful. And this year, a new family came, and he was multiracial, and he was born in the South. And so I was sharing a little bit about the civil rights pilgrimage, and little conversations, and a lot of pain for him, painful memories. But he also remembered a ritual that when the family would get together, there would be this ritual of making soup together. And at a certain point, the ritual must have been that they'd all say together, good soup. It was like it meant home, it meant refuge. So he was so happy to be part of all of this. And he said at a certain point, this feels like good fruit. Can I go outside and yell that off the deck? And I said, of course you can. So he went outside and he just yelled as loud as he could, good fruit! And he just said it made him so happy. He couldn't remember when he was so happy, and then we all went on. But at the very end, we all got together in a circle, and we were all looking at each other, and what we all just kind of knew is we all had to say good fruit together, and that this was something we were going to say every year from now on. And so, and we said it as loud as we could, and I hope the whole neighborhood and all the apples across time and space heard us. So rituals are alive, and you can make them up on the spot, and we can also formalize them. So what she says is that healing rituals penetrate the heart and guide you deeper. And that it is about focusing on the immediacy of the body, heart, and mind, right here. Anytime you're doing a dead ritual, you are not in your body or your heart. It's like, keep coming back. This is the ritual of alive, you know what? And it's limited. And nobody knows how much time you got. Don't miss it. Keep coming back. Here, that's what we're helping each other do, and the world. So she says she discovered 10 types of healing activities, which I'm going to go over just kind of briefly. Experience interrelatedness. In experiencing interrelatedness, we connect to vast networks of support that energize and stabilize. Good fruit connects to apples, connects to the ritual of juicing, connects to this person's childhood. Now it connects us next year to this year. It's like you're standing in the middle of Indra's net, and it's alive. 2, live, body, heart, mind. When we move with the force of our whole being, we mobilize the fullness of our strength and endurance. You can't live body, heart, mind in your head. It means being here. 3, orchestrate rituals, which is to choose what meaning and importance to cultivate and design, how to embody and convey through gestures, words, sounds, and emotional valence. We're going to orchestrate a little ritual here. Nurture self, which includes such acts as going to sleep when sleepy. Rest is resistance, Chelsea. And drinking water when thirsty. Nurturance is a matter of not merely control and achievement, but also consciously choosing to love. This is what her mother's death taught her. This is what the pilgrimage taught me, and which I want to remember with all of you. You can only experience suffering to the degree that you experience joy. And the more you experience joy, the more you have the capacity to witness and be with suffering your own and the suffering of the world. So it's so beautiful that out of death came rebirth, and these are the qualities. Enjoy life. Enjoy life does not mean not to care. Rather, mindfully do what you can in current situations, which is intrinsically joy-producing healing activity. Create beauty. Beauty can be created with any ingredient, any condition, at any time, because beauty is dependent on what you choose to activate in your heart. What are you choosing in this moment? 6, express gratitude. Expressing gratitude is a reliable way to access beauty in your heart, even when tired, stressed, or angry. Accept reality as it is no mean feat. Denying and resisting reality drains vital energy. Sherry and I were just talking about, I always think of Suzuki Roshi just moment after moment saying, yes, 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 I will. Yes, it's impossible, I don't know what it is, I don't know how to do it, but yes, I will. I'll just show up and hear. And what does the word evil mean? And that Brother David said evil was saying no to life. And what a beautiful thing to practice is like, no, sorry, I can take this, but this is, you be gentle with yourself, you touch the edge, but where are you saying no to life? And can you, in a ritual of accepting reality as it is, just breathe right here in this moment so you can see what's appropriate and what needs to happen next. Healing is about dissolving obstacles that appear to be in the way of experiencing everything as integral to the dynamic flux of our interrelated whole. Zazen teaches us this. Everything I know from Zazen and my own suffering. I don't know if that's true, but I just said it. Expand perspective is often the only way to see through the fog and accept things that appear unfair, undeserved, cruel, and tragic. When we look narrowly with fearful eyes, the greater web of interconnectedness is out of view. Notice when you're in a fear body, and what does a fear body feel like? Study it.
Will you say that again, the title of that?
Expand perspective. Because when we're in a fear body, it's survival. We're in a fight and flight nervous system. You can study your own body and your mind. You can feel the windows and the doors closing. Take a breath. Come back. To look from a larger vantage point is not to diminish the seriousness of a situation, but to contextualize it. Suffering subdues when we perceive our full identity, a vital force in a luminous dancing flux of interdependence. Whoa, should I say that one again? Our true identity, who we truly are, is a vital force in a luminous dancing flux of interdependence. and body compassion, a highly effective antidote to suffering. We did a little bit with Paula Arai, I can't remember when, but there was one woman who said to her on this pilgrimage, she said, "I know I am healed when I am kind. I know that I am healed when I am kind." Doesn't say nice, doesn't mean plastering something on top of a difficult situation, but kind. It's like metta sutta, the loving kindness. I suddenly realized that healing is a choice we make in each moment, and the circularity of these 10. So then the questions she asks, which I will ask you right now. How do I connect more deeply with my body, heart, mind? How do you connect more deeply with your body, heart, mind? What would generate more joy? What would be nurturing in this situation? How do I experience more interrelatedness? What kind of ritualized activities can I orchestrate? What possibilities open when I expand my perspective of the situation? How might I create more beauty? What can I do to accept the flow of causes and conditions? How can I express more gratitude? And what action embodies compassion in this moment? So then she talks a little bit about the seasons. Autumn, the equinox. A time of grieving, loss, and harvesting fruits. Good fruit! And the importance of using the senses of our heart. She learned this on her pilgrimage, and this particular nugget of wisdom continues to shape how I perceive the world. The places the eyes of the flesh see have a limit. The places the eyes of the heart see have no limit. I think that's why I need to do this right now, is on pilgrimage there was so much suffering. There was so much encountering evil. And when I kept trying to see it through the eyes of my flesh, there was nothing but distress. Endless distress. That's a small word. But when I see it through the eyes of my heart, it changes the whole thing. And that's where my practice is. And that's where bodhisattva practice is. And that's where vow is. And that's how I want to live my life. I don't want to make somebody other and shut them out of my heart. And I also want to be responsible and accountable in this life. So what do you do with this information the more you see? How do we do this? And how do we do it through the eyes of our hearts? So when I want to see below storms raging in my life, I see with the eyes of my heart. Then I can see beauty, even if only a sliver. Likewise, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, and thinking through those senses of the heart open the heart to receive the boundless bounty of our condition. Though immediate particulars might threaten to obstruct our experience of boundlessness, perceiving through the refined senses of the heart reveals our interrelatedness. Sense organs, sense organs, sense organs, bodies. We all have one. Eyes, ears, smell, taste, touch, thought process, mind. Wow. That's amazing. Smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, and thinking through the senses of the heart open the heart to receive the boundless bounty of our condition. through immediate particulars might obstruct us. Perceiving through the refined senses of the heart reveals our interrelatedness. Sense organs help you perceive everyday phenomena. Senses of the heart help you perceive below the surface where a vast network of interconnections pulse. Isn't that beautiful? There's a vast network of interconnections pulsing all the time. It all depends on where you want to focus your attention and how. I'm not saying I know how to do this. That's why we're doing this. This is ongoing practice together, and we help each other. Perceiving through both lenses in double exposure is optimal for healing because you can navigate the particulars while being aware of the expansive context of connections. Simultaneously feeling through sense organs and the heart empower you to live in a healing mode, acting practically and effectively to ameliorate suffering. In touch with our cosmic flux of expansive beauty, vistas of possibility that nurture joy, gratitude, and compassion open up and invite you in. So what I want to do today, besides this, and then we'll go on, is, whether you're in the practice period or not, you're in the practice period. We're always in a practice period. Is altars are really important. And maybe you all have an altar in your home. Maybe you want to create an altar in your home, just some place of focus. It's like, for her, it was lighting a candle and a stick of incense. Maybe you want to, I'm talking to myself, maybe clean up my altar a little bit, like sift the ashes or whatever it is, or refresh it. But what I would like to ask you to do now, and I'd like to ask you at home, because I figure probably you can do what you want, but if you can go outside, in your sense body, open, you're going to have, well, I think 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. Go outside with your whole body, heart, mind alive, and see if you can find something that calls out to you that you would like to bring back as an encouragement or a reminder about how you want to live and how you want to enter this turning of the season. Something that will remind you about gratitude and joy and big perspective and all the things she listed. So can you all do that? Let's do 7 minutes so you don't have to rush. No, please run out and find something really fast. 7